Okay, good morning. It's about 2 a.m. here in the occupied state of New York, FEMA Region 2. Let's see, I want to talk about this couple days ago. Came out these planned Chicago nuke attack for 2015. And I'm sure some people are going to say, well, what are you talking about? I haven't heard anything about that. Well, it doesn't really surprise me because the lamestream drive-by media really hasn't talked much about it. Before I get into it, though, we're going to get in our time machine here. And we're going to go back to September of 2013. Something I just wanted to remind some people about. Back in September of 2013, there was, and I wouldn't say incident, but something occurred where some nuclear warheads were transferred from Dyess, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but Dyess Air Force Base in Texas. They were being transported to some kind of unknown location in South Carolina, where they were supposedly going to be picked up and utilized. Now, this was covered pretty good by Alex Jones and Anthony Guccifer, and people over at InfoWars. Got a tip from a source that they have within the military. So supposedly, a commander from Dyess Air Force Base authorized this transfer. There's no directive, no paper trail, nothing like that. They're just supposed to be loaded into a truck, taken to South Carolina, and they would be transferred to another truck, and they would go wherever. Okay. So I'll include the links. You can go take a look at this. You can watch the video. You can read this whole, the whole thing. There's no, like I said, there's no paper trail, there's no signature, there's no nothing. Okay, and I think I remember hearing, I couldn't really find anything, but I think I remember hearing something about some general or something was fired shortly after this. It was connected to this incident, but supposedly they fired him for some stupid, like, gambling or some stupid thing. But it was because of the result of this. So supposedly the same time, I believe it was the same day, U.S. Senator, South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, he comes out in the news and he warns of a terrorist nuclear attack. Okay. Now, I looked at this, and there's nothing really. Yeah, you could say, well, they're not really connected. There's nothing here that really, connects the two things. But if you think about it, it's kind of, can it really be that much of a coincidence? I mean, the same day, these nukes are going to South Carolina. The South Carolina senator, says some things like this. It kind of really makes you wonder. And the reason why I bring this up, these nuclear warheads, they kind of just disappeared, and they haven't been heard from. They haven't resurfaced anywhere. So Lindsey Graham, this was about, he talks about, this is when the stuff over in Syria was going on, and he mentions about Iran, and if we don't block Iran, they're not going to take it seriously, and if we get involved with Syria, then Russia's going to be pissed off. So this is about that same time, and he goes on to say that he says nukes in the hands of terrorists could result in bombs coming to Charleston Harbor, and then he says that um, he says the lack of military action in Syria could result in a nuclear bombing of Charleston, South Carolina. I don't really know what he was talking about at that point, but it really does make you wonder. He talks about nukes in South Carolina. We heard about these other nukes going to South Carolina. So, like I said, it just kind of makes you wonder, that, if they really are connected, So, like I said, I bring that up because wherever these nukes went, they're still out there somewhere. There hasn't been any news or any rumors or any intel of them surfacing anywhere. So who knows where they are? Who has them? Okay. I just want to try to remind people that every so often, so that we don't forget. Because if something comes up, there's a nuclear attack wherever. Okay. People say, where'd they come from? Maybe they came from another country. Well, maybe so, but it could be like a false flag kind of thing, because hey, there's those missing nukes from from Texas. They were out there somewhere. Okay, so here's another article that talks about it, and I'll post links. Links in the description. You can go here and you can read through. There's videos that were done as well by Infowars. You can take a look at them. This here is a couple of articles from Infowars. This article here is from CBS News. I'll post those links there. Okay, so we come back to the present. Okay, top hacker, Chicago nuke attack planned for 2015. If you type it in Google, you come up with a lot of different hits. Okay, this hacker named Guccifer. Right now, what I noticed was you see all these websites. Okay, and obviously, like Infowars picked it up. Right, Prison Planet. Okay, writer for Infowars and Prison Planet is Paul Joseph Watson. He did a video on it. He talked about it. Okay. So some people, they'll say, they're just making it up. This, that, and the other thing. Okay. I know how that goes. I've heard the spiel before. So what I did was I went and looked. If you go to the Prison Planet link, they actually post the link down here to an interview in the New York Times. So the video, it's just a short, here the link is. This article is just a short, description of it. Basically the same thing that the video. They just kind of like talk about, he puts Paul Joseph Watson. He talks about it. Okay, and he directs you back to the New York Times story. So that's where I went, was the New York Times story that they did, okay, on Guccifer. Okay, now Guccifer is a hacker from Romania. He, hacked into some pretty powerful people's email accounts. The Bush family, Colin Powell. He terrorized, some Hollywood people, some different things like that. He posted. I think it's here in the article. Maybe not. He posted a selfie that George W. Bush had taken. It's not in here. He exposed that back at some point. So this article talks about, it's an interview that they had done with him. He's been caught. He's now in prison in Romania, serving a 7-year sentence. But they were asking him some different things about what he had done, and he's not even really a hacker. I wouldn't call him a hacker, not at all, because he didn't really. I mean, yeah, he hacked into email accounts and stuff, but he didn't, use spyware, malware, or like a Trojan or whatever hackers use. He picked a target. He educated himself on that person, and then somehow he got their email address, and then he was able to guess the answers to their security questions, and then was able to gain access. So, he didn't really hack, like people think. When somebody says hack, you readily think, you went through the computer and I don't know, whatever. However they do it, I have no idea about that kind of stuff. But he says here, the guy was unemployed, used to be a taxi driver. Okay, he had no experience in computers, no fancy equipment. He had an old NEC desktop and a Samsung cell phone. So he just guessed. He just educated himself on his target, and he just got lucky, I guess. Was able to answer the security questions. But he was able to, doing what he did, he was able to expose some things, and he goes through and what he's been doing, because obviously in prison, he has no access to a computer. But it says that here it says no access to a computer, jail. Pours out his phobias and conspiracy theories in notebooks filled with small, neat handwriting. And he goes on. He says, "Okay, I broke the law, but 7 years in maximum security prison. I'm not a murderer or a thief." What did we heard, of course. He did say that he could have stolen money from basically all these people that he had gotten their account into their accounts, but he never did. Supposedly, the United States thought that he tried getting money from people, but they had no proof of that. They thought he was trying to extort money, but they had no proof of that. One thing they want to say is he had a handwritten statement before they interviewed him, and it says a potpourri of conspiracy theories about terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001, the 1997 death of Princess Diana, and alleged plans for a nuclear attack in Chicago, 2015. It said, "This world is run by a group of conspirators called the Council of Illuminati, very rich people, noble families, bankers, and industrialists from the 19th and 20th century." So, one thing that also, when you go through, this doesn't really talk about the plans for a nuclear attack. Doesn't go in depth. It's mentioned. This is just talks about him and what he did and how he did it, kind of thing. So I'll post this link in the description. It, like I said, it doesn't go into detail, so it doesn't outline, you know, how it's going to happen or what. It's just like I said, it's just mentioned. So this is something that definitely needs to, to watch out for. Maybe something will come about here in these notebooks. Who knows? I don't know if he'll, in the future make some statements, maybe clear some things up, and who knows what will happen. But it's just another thing that I think everybody needs to kind of, keep in the back of their mind, with the missing nukes thing. And, there's other stuff, other things that I've talked about. You have other countries that have tried pulling off these nuke attacks, and, I wouldn't be surprised, if something were to happen. So many things have been talked about, have been discussed, have been brought up, that maybe, let's say, for example, a nuke attack does happen, okay? And right away you're like, oh, well, Russia has tried doing that several times. Oh, it was probably Russia that did it, Meanwhile, maybe it wasn't them at all. Maybe, it was our own people with these missing nukes in Texas. You never know. Everything gets so, so clouded and so, pulled in a million different directions. You just gotta, step back, look at things one at a time, and you gotta look at stuff. You gotta kind of dissect things a little bit and see what's what. And just you gotta just keep an eye on stuff, because you just never know. Chicago. I mean, just bring Chicago. Back, Obama mentioned, oh, I'm worried about this whole Russia thing. He's all worried about a nuke tank on Manhattan. Everybody was like, well, where'd that come from? Then you've got like ISIS. ISIS, they announced these attacks on all these American cities, and they mentioned Chicago. So that's another thing. An attack happens on Chicago, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. ISIS mentioned that. Well, maybe it was ISIS. Well, maybe it wasn't. All these things are just going on, and you just kind of try to separate things a little bit and look at things, and don't just like jump to conclusions, and just look at things. And you gotta, I say it all the time, but I don't feel like I say it enough, because people don't do it. You gotta think for yourself. Come up with your own decision. Read what's there. Read over what you're presented with, and then make up your mind. This is why I post the links in the descriptions, and I'll just say, hey, this is this, this is this, and this is this. I say, this is this. Okay, this is what this says. Okay, this is why. I show you that this is what, I don't just sit here and say, you need to listen to me. You need to believe what I tell you. Okay. I say, this is what, Joe Schmo says. Okay. I show you that Joe Schmo said it and why he said it. Okay. And then also, I provide the link. All right. So that way, you can go there. You can go to that exact link, look at the exact same thing that I showed you. Okay, because it's nothing that I made up. I mean, I'm just, one man show, doing my thing here. I don't have the ability to do all that stuff. That's a little over the top for me. Just one man show, basically the basic. You can't get any more low budget or basic here. So that way you can go, you can go to the link, and boom, look, and you can make your own decision. So, and I encourage you to do that in this situation. Keep an open mind, and just tuck this in the back of your head. You know, keep an ear on things, keep an eye on things. You know, you just this today there's just so much stuff going on. You never know. So just, you know, keeping your eyes and ears open, and we'll go from there. And you know, you never know. Hopefully, you know, I sure hope to God that nothing like that happens, because you know, you're talking a major city. You know, the death toll would be high. Something like that would have a major effect on the entire, not just the entire country, the entire world. That would have a major effect on. So I really hope that nothing like that happens. But another way you could look at it is maybe, you know, since we talk about it, now that it's come out, maybe it won't happen. You know, maybe enough people hear about it, enough people, you know, they say, hey, you know, they're thinking about it, they're kind of looking out for certain things or whatever. Maybe then it doesn't happen, and hopefully it doesn't. But okay, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.